Hello one and all, my name is Sean Splains and this is Slay the Spire 2. My goal here with this series has been to walk through every character and explain what I can about them and make it as easy as possible for anybody watching to make consistently good decisions. Unfortunately at times I may not make the best decisions, especially with some new content coming out. As we saw in our previous couple of videos, a new patch actually dropped on the game. As it's still in early access, this is likely to happen a lot throughout, but I'll do my best to explain the changes as we go, especially if I've spoken about something in a previous video and given an opinion, but now that opinion may change if something's been buffed or nerfed. So with that out of the way, we'll head straight into the next character. Into my second favourite, we have the Defect. This is also a new thing that pops up whenever you unlock Ascensions, that just explains how they work and how to unlock higher ones, which is basically you consistently beat the game at Ascension 0, which is the way this looks normally, and then when you beat Ascension 1 you'll unlock 2, all the way up to 10, and the game will get more difficult and it will tell you the modifier every time. But that's for the next video. Today we have the Defect. An automaton externally modifying itself to survive deploys orb technology when it must fight. And it starts with the cracked core. At the start of each combat, channel 1 lightning, which is much easier as always to show you when visualized. So here we have Neow's options, and we already get a new one from the update, as well as two other ones we haven't seen before. So Arcane Scroll and Booming Conch were already in the game. Arcane Scroll will obtain a random rare card, which can work really well in certain situations, but the randomness of it can really steer your run in a direction you might not be comfortable with, so I wouldn't recommend taking this. Booming Conch at the start of elite combats. This used to be draw 2 additional cards at the start, but now they've also added gaining an extra energy, which is nice. And this third option is a new option of lose all gold, all 99, and enchant all cards in the first card reward with Glam, meaning they have an enchantment that adds replay to them. I'm going to take this because 1, I've not used it or seen it before and I want to try it out, and 2, the ability to replay certain cards, especially with the Defect, is really, really strong. So we're going to start with that. I'd say in terms of general decision making, the top option I would have never really chosen. The middle option I would take if I planned to take a lot of elites, which is best for the Ironclad, or if you're playing a character that you're really comfortable with and you see yourself taking 2 or 3 elites every single act. And the third option to me feels quite safe. And here we have our first iteration of the Underdogs. As we saw in our last battle, in our last video, we unlocked the Underdogs, which is a brand new map for Act 1 that has 3 new boss enemies at the end, 3 new elites for me to explain, and a lot of hallway fights that have different enemies that a lot of them scale with strength, so this is more difficult than the Overgrowth generally. So here I'm not pathing for any shops because I've just lost all my gold, and I want to try and take maybe 1 elite or 2 if I'm feeling confident, and as many camps as I can, or rest site. I'm going to use every word that's not rest site for that, for anybody who's been watching everything. I think my best option is probably going through the middle because that gives me a choice of whether I want to take an elite or not. So I'll go up through here, we'll take a lot of hallways, and then we'll get to here, which is a long way to go without taking a heal. Yeah, scratch that. We won't do that. What we'll do is we'll cut here instead, since we get the rest site, so if we're struggling we can heal. And then we'll go up here and take this elite, which then we get another rest site, at which point we can decide whether we want to go left for a shop, or if we want to go here and go here, or we want to take that second elite. So I'll decide that when I get there, but that is the path I'm going to take just now. We'll just play things as slow and safe as possible and try and make the best decisions. So we'll go into our first combat. Here we have Sludge Spinner. He's going to do 8 damage and debuff us. I believe he makes us weak, so we do less damage, and then he'll do 11 and just repeat that cycle. So we'll get our Zap Orb. So this is, I forgot to show the deck. I'm all over the place today. So here we have 4 strikes, 4 defends, a Zap, which allows us to channel lightning, and a Jewel Cast, which allows us to evoke our rightmost orb. So we have orbs with this character. There's multiple different orbs that all have different effects. I'll explain them as we see them. Lightning simply deals 3 damage passively at the end of every turn, or if you evoke it, which is to use up the orb and get rid of it, you do 8 damage. And in this case 8 damage twice. So as we can see, it's got number 3 to it and it tells us on it. Passive, 3 damage to a random enemy at the end of turn, and evoke, deal 8 damage to a random enemy. So as we play through the run, I'll aim to make an orb based build just to show this off as a mechanic, but he does have a really strong deal a lot of damage with multi-hitting moves, which I prefer, but I'm going to go for the orb since it's a new mechanic for most people watching. Here we'll take 3 damage. We didn't get enough defense to avoid that, unfortunately. His third option is to give himself more strength and do a little bit less damage. So we'll block the damage here because there's no reason to take anything. I'll evoke to do 16, then at the end of the turn we're going to do 3. So the thing to keep in mind with your defect is if you have orbs, count the damage that they're doing into your calculations. And that was the 11 attack. So like I say, he'll rotate from weakening to buffing himself to weakening to buffing himself. So like already on turn 1, we're fighting enemies that are going to be scaling a lot, so we have to deal with them. Now here we have the replay, which is really good. We've got a power, hailstorm with new card art for anybody that's been playing before now, and that looks really cool. At the end of your turn, if you have frost, deal 6 damage to all enemies, replay 1. Cold Snap, deals 6 damage, channel 1 frost. Frost is an orb that gives you 2 block passively, or 5 if you evoke it, and that's got replay 1, so that would give us 2 frost orbs and deal 12 damage. This would apply itself as a power twice, so it would mean that if we had frost, we would deal 12 damage to all enemies. But the card that I almost always snap pick, and I like 2 or even 3 of these in my deck usually, is Glacier. Gain 6 block, channel 2 frost, and then replay 1. So that would channel 4 frost and gain 12 block, which doesn't sound like a lot. It has been nerfed compared to the first game, but still channeling 2 frost is very good defensively. So we're going to take that. I think it's also an excellent card to get the glam on, because channeling 4 frost in this case means we would channel 2 here, and then when you push orbs out, they don't just disappear, they actually evoke. So I would do 8 damage. I would also evoke one of the frost orbs to get 5 block, and we would ultimately gain 12 plus 5 plus 6. We would gain 23 block and deal 8 damage for 1 Glacier card at the moment, which is a lot of efficiency. I want to kind of block all of their damage, so they're doing 14 at the moment, so I'll just take 3 defense. This is another character like Necrobinder where you want to try and play the game slowly if you're doing an orb build. Here it kind of feels like a waste to use up as a glam. Once per combat the replay works, so it doesn't work again if you use it now. I'll just use it. That's fine. So here we'll see the effect. So we get the 17 block, that's going to go up to 21, and we did the 8 damage. Very nice to see. And the mechanic with the corpse slugs is they have a buff called Ravenous, so when you kill one corpse slug, the other one is going to not do anything for a turn, but then it will eat the other one and gain strength. So you want to try and kill them as close to each other as possible. But another good mechanic to keep in mind when fighting them is when you kill one, the one that you don't kill, whatever it's planning to do now, it will do next turn. So if you catch it on the weakened turn, it won't do anything despite its extra strength. I hope I explained that well enough. We'll take the defend, so we now defend all the attack. So he's doing 8 damage, so ideally I would get away with... Can I do this? So that gives me 12 block, this would give me 15 block. Yes, we can do that. I want to kill him when he's doing the debuff. So as we see he's doing the debuff now, I will kill him off. He will go down and be stunned for a turn. I will get another zap. And he comes back up. He's got 4 more strength, but he's still doing the debuff. So this is the best way to deal with this fight. If you can catch yourself in a situation where they're doing the multi-hit and you give them extra strength, that's obviously the worst position to be in. But they're quite an easy enemy overall. Here we have Compact, gains 6 block and transform all status cards in your hand into Fuel. Fuel being a card that gives you 1 energy and draws a card and exhausts itself. Double energy just doubles your energy. But if you upgrade this, it goes down to 0, so it freely doubles your energy rather than costing 1 and then doubling. So if you use it as it is, when you've got 3, you'll only get 4, whereas if you use it like this at 3, you'll get 6. Compact upgrades into Fuel Plus, which would draw 2 cards. And Thunder is an interesting card I like to take, because it's a power that when you evoke lightning orbs, it deals an additional 6 or 8 damage. So it would do 8 and then 8 again to the same target, which means you can just channel a lot of damage. Compact is also very good. It's an answer to the Entomancer elite in Act 2. When he just fills your deck with Dazeds, you can use this to transform all those Dazeds into Fuels and just draw through all of the Dazeds. So that's a really good answer, but I don't need to worry about that for a long time. Also, I'm not doing a build where I'm making status cards myself, which is an option with this character. Since we're going for orbs, I'll pick Thunder. We have the Sea Punk, who is one of my least favourite normal enemies. He'll do 11 damage and then he'll do a multi-hit and attack and then he'll gain strength. So the multi-hit attack gets very strong very fast, and that's what we're going to be worrying about. It would have been more efficient to play the Thunder card first, but Should be okay. So as he starts at 2 times 4, he's going to be dealing 8, but then next turn he's going to have an extra 2 strength, and he's going to be doing 4 times 4 at 16. So we need to kill him quick as possible. Now he'll buff and give himself some shields. We'll just attack, he goes down to 4, so now he's dead next turn if we can get rid of this 7 block, which we can. And that's fine. Get our gold. Here we have another new card art. Very nice. I apologise for when this happens. I just like to look at things that are new so I can better explain them to everyone else. But that's... I think I preferred the original one actually. But anyway, we have Momentum Strike, which pairs really well with the Strike dummy we saw in the last act, with all cards containing Strike gaining damage. This is 10 damage and reduces this card's cost to 1. To 0, sorry. So when you play this card and then you draw it again, it'll be free to play. And that's 10 damage and then 13 damage, so that's really consistent damage, especially in Act 1. Fight Through is an example of a card that gives us status cards, so it gives us 13 block for 1, but it adds 2 wounds. And this is really good if you've got Compact and you can turn these wounds into your fuels. This goes up to 17 block. And here we have Subroutine. Whenever you play a power, gain energy. As this character loves playing powers, this is usually very good. But since I only have 1 just now, is it worth taking? I think we'll take Subroutine. This will play off later on, so I think I'm going to be taking a lot of powers. Here we actually have an event we've not seen before. Entering into a pitch dark chamber, a sudden light pierces the darkness from above. Just as the door slams behind you, illuminated before you appears to be a podium with a map on it. You feel compelled to take it. Suspicious. So our options are losing 8 HP to get a random potion, or we take the spoils map, which if we can carry this into Act 2, we'll find that our treasure map in the middle, our treasure chest in the middle of the map is going to give us 600 extra gold, which is amazing. I almost always take this, unless you're in a build where you're really struggling and you don't think you'll make it through the act. But I think at this point I'm pretty comfortable, and I would like to just show how effective this is and how it actually changes the map in Act 2. What's the worst that could happen is you grab the map and opening appears before you on the other side of the room. Go into our next fight and we have the Punch Construct, very annoying enemy. So he starts with Artifact, so if he had Vulnerable or Weaken, we wouldn't be able to do it for a couple of turns. He starts off with defending himself, and then he's going to deal really big damage really fast. So again, we want to kill this guy as quickly as possible. He starts with dealing 5 times 2 and debuffing us. So we'll take the 2 defends. I'll play Thunder so that when I evoke my Lightning, it does more. He's given us Frail, so we can't block as much, but thankfully because of the character we're playing, and we get blocked from our Frost Orbs, your orbs are not affected by any debuffs, other than a focus debuff, which I'll talk about if we find the card that does that. There's only 1 card that can affect your orbs, I should say, in a negative way. We'll play the subroutine so that we don't have to play it again and it's now out of the way. Then I'll zap. I don't need to dual cast here, so we'll just hit him. And now we can deal with this 10 block, we can kill him this turn, which we can't, so I'm just going to Glacier and make sure I'm blocking through the turn. The block goes away naturally, and then we kill him. Here we have some good options if you're doing a build that doesn't revolve around orbs. Unfortunately all of them are around this, although Sunder's a good pick. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Uproar, deal 6 damage twice, and play a random attack from your draw pile. This is amazing on a strength scaling build because obviously this will go up twice as much. You'll deal 7 twice, 8 twice, so it's double effective. Plus you play another random attack from your draw pile, which if you're playing a 3-cost card, you're using 2 energy to play 5 energies worth of cards, this is a really fun card to play if you get the right cards. Sunder, 24 damage. If this kills an enemy, gain 3 energy, so you get your energy back, which this goes up to 32. This kills most things in Act 1, and if they're at half health usually, so this is really easy to play. Afterwards it does fall off, but it's still really good in certain situations. And then Beam Cell, which is 3 damage and 1 vulnerable, but if you upgrade it goes up to 2 vulnerable. This is excellent if you're playing a damage build, but since I'm not playing a damage build and I don't care much for it, I don't have a lot of scaling at the moment though, and the boss that we're going to fight at the end we need to deal significant damage to. I think the most balanced thing to take here that would be useful would be Beam Cell, just to get some debuffs on the enemy. It also helps us remove artifacts on certain enemies. Here I'll go for the Smithing Sight and I think I take the Glacier upgrade. I mean, there's so many things I can take. I think I'll take Beam Cell because similar to Neutralize on the Silent, increasing the efficiency of the vulnerable from 1 to 2 is invaluable. So we'll take that upgrade first. Here we have a new enemy in Fossil Stalker. this is going to deal damage to us every turn, and every turn he successfully deals unblocked damage to us, he's going to gain strength, which isn't ideal. I'm going to just allow myself to take a bit of damage because it's not the end of the world. But as we see, he gains 3 strength every single time he deals unblocked damage, which is dangerous for his multi-hitting attacks. Now that I see that I've not got enough block, I was hoping to get Glacier this turn. He's going to hit me again. Should have played that Dexterity Potion. It's fine, we'll get through it. We've taken more damage than I would have liked to there, but it's not too bad in the end. Here we got another Hailstorm, another Beam Cell, but I'm going to take Shadow Shield. This gives us a new orb of Dark. Gain 11 block and channel 1 dark, or I've upgraded 15 block. This is invaluable for our current deck, and it actually helps us solve the final boss. I'll explain why in a second. I'm not going to play it now because I need to play Glacier, but when we channel a dark orb, it starts at 6 damage I believe, but then it gains damage every single turn. It doesn't passively do damage, it just gains it, but then when you evoke it, it plays a lot of damage. We'll show it off at a different point, because like I say, I didn't want to take damage here. I'm already struggling through here as it is. I need to try and be as efficient as possible. So we'll play Subroutine, which means when we play Thunder we get our energy back. And then I'll just take the hits here. I feel like the potion's going to come in more handy on an elite fight that's coming up. These guys have the ability to either do damage, apply Frail to you, or summon even more rats. So the idea is to kind of keep all of them as weak as possible and then pick off the one that's trying to summon. I'm only going to do this because I know I can't kill him this turn. I know I'm in a position where unfortunately he's going to summon him. Thankfully now he's going to summon, so if I kill him off, he's useless. I'm only taking 8 damage this turn, so I can do this here, kill him so there's no more summons. No summons again, thankfully. We just need to block enough. So we play this card. And then hopefully next turn we can kill him off. And that was nice and easy. But this can very quickly get out of hand. I think they go up to 4 rats and then they don't spawn anymore. But that's just my own experience. It could be more. Here we have a new potion in Cure All. So gain 1 energy and draw 2 cards, which is really good. Nice balanced card. Another example of a card that's going to give us a status and boost away, gains 6 block and add a dazed for free, which is good. Hotfix, which gains focus. So this is the thing that improves or hinders your orbs. We get focus, or we can get some cards that make us lose focus, which if we see one I'll point out, but we want to take this anyway, and then when we upgrade it we lose the exhaust so we consistently use it over and over again. Or Ball Lightning deals 7 damage and channels a lightning. This is also a very good option, but I think because we now have multiple types of orbs, especially the dark one, Hotfix is going to be useful. Here we get Meal Ticket, so we want to be aiming for shops later on because they count as rest sites in a way. Here we have the Skulking Colony, which is an elite that's been changed a lot over the beta branch that I've not seen. So generally he's got this buff that means he can't lose more than a specific amount of HP per turn, which at the moment is 20. Which means we can't kill him in any less than 4 turns. Effectively you want to just block however much he's hitting you for and then worry about doing damage afterwards, since you don't have to worry about dealing more than 20 anyway. So here I'm going to use this so that I can get some damage onto him. I'll actually just use the dual cast just to try and get this number down as low as possible. And as we see here, it started at 6 and it's going to passively gain 6 every turn. Unfortunately, because of the way this enemy works, the Dark Orb isn't that efficient because it can only ever do as much as 20. So we're just going to use it here. I'm going to Glacier, which will deal 12 damage. And I'm going to just use Strike to again try and get through this as much as possible. I'm not going to use Hotfix because I don't need to just now. I'll Beam Cell, I'll Strike. I will block so I don't take any damage, and I'll Subroutine so that I don't have to draw that card again. And also if I draw Thunder now, I'll get my energy back for it. Here, unfortunately, I'm going to take a little bit of damage, but that's fine. We're going to take 7, which is pretty good. And then we finish him off. So that seemed quite easy, but that, again, can get out of hand because he scales. Stonecracker, a fun relic we've seen before. And 3 new attack. White Noise adds a random power into your hand, and it's free to play this turn. This pairs well with the subroutine that we have, especially because when you upgrade it, it costs 0 as well. So this is technically free energy that gives you a power. The only issue with it is it's a random power and it might not be one that you even want, so it's kind of a waste of a card in some situations. Here we have Adaptive Strike, deal 18 damage and add a 0 cost version of this card into your discard pile. So that means you keep the 2 cost version but also gain a 0 cost version. And then Hologram is an essential card, again with the mechanic of putting a card from your discard pile into your hand, which is always good. And if you upgrade it, it removes the exhaust on it, so you're gaining 5 block, and it puts a card. So if you have cards that you want to play multiple times, like I want to play Glacier multiple times probably, want to play Shadow Shield. If I really want to get vulnerable on an enemy, I can play Beam Cell again for free. So this is going to be a very good card. So we'll take the Hologram. Here, I think I'll take the opportunity to upgrade the Hologram because, like I say, it's very useful for me. And then I could go and take another Elite, but I think because I'm actually quite low HP and I've got the meal ticket, I want to go here so that I can heal. And then I'll see if there's anything of interest that I really want. The shop relic here is good, with Orrery allowing you to pick up 5 card rewards. You don't usually want too many cards, but sometimes this can just give you a lot of different options and it might give you some of the best cards in the game. A card that's been reworked a lot because it was too strong in the beginning and now it's going back and forth, but I love the new card art on this. Voltaic. Channel lightning equal to the lightning already channeled this combat. With the build that we have at the moment, we don't have too many ways to channel lightning, but there's more ways to do it. And the more we channel it, the more this does. It starts with exhaust, but if you upgrade it, it loses its exhaust. It is 3 cost, which is really high, but if you're in the late half of a boss battle and you're channeling 5 off this, the next time you play it, it's channeling 10, then 20. It can get really out of hand really fast and it's really fun to use. But I don't just want to take one card here and I want to play as efficiently as I can. So I'm going to take a Finesse because it gains block and draws a card, so it's just free block. I'm going to take what I believe to be a more useful power, Incapacitator, because it allows us to have more orbs in play at once. And then otherwise I would have probably taken a card removal and maybe a Cool Headed, which is a card that channels Wind Frost and draws a card, so this is a really good way to get through your deck. We have another Uproar, another Cold Snap and another Master of Strategy. We've already seen these. I don't think we've seen Stone Calendar. This is good for a really passive build where you're blocking a lot as well. So at the end of turn 7, deal 52 damage to all enemies, and then that's its use over. It's at the end of turn 7, so you won't get to use it too often in most fights, but it can be useful just for extra chip damage into bosses. But we'll leave there. And now that we've already got enough HP, we probably won't need to worry too much about healing here, which is nice. We get another new event. You spot an aged statue, half submerged, in a pond. Its hands gently rest atop a stone sword. Something is also glittering at the bottom of the pond. Votive offerings, perhaps. You could really use some money. So we can dive into the water to get 109 gold, but lose 7 HP. Or we can obtain the Sword of Stone, which after 5 elites becomes a powerful relic. I don't see myself taking 5 elites over the next 2 acts, so I won't take this, but we will definitely see this getting used more in a future attempt. For now, I'm just going to take the gold, especially since we love going to shops to heal. And now we've got the Haunted Ship, which is an annoying enemy that gives us a lot of status cards, but we'll be okay. Again, there's no point in playing Glacier here, as much as it would be nice to have the Frost Orbs. We're going to take 13 damage. Unfortunately, I can't really mitigate it too much. So I'll block, I'll play the Thunder, and I'll dual cast. So we see how much damage that does with the Thunder now, because it did 8 4 times rather than twice. Here I'll take the subroutine into the Capacitator, into the Shadow Shield. So now we've got all these different orb slots. I don't think I'll get to use them in the fight. I just wanted to show it off. Finesse, which is free block and allows us to draw. So we're getting rid of one of these dazeds already. Play a Zap, we'll strike, and we'll defend. So unfortunately we have taken a fair bit of damage here, so I'll probably heal at the next bonfire, but that's okay. We'll play Hotfix. So now you can see how quickly this scales. It's already up at 26. Here to kill the enemy, I'm going to get Beam Cell back so I can vulnerable, and then I'll strike. We get an option of another Capacitator to give us a lot of orbs, or another Beam Cell, or Chaos, channel 1 random orb, which will give us a Lightning, a Dark, a Frost, or a Glass, or a Plasma, but we'll talk more about those other 2 when we see them. I think we just take another 2 slots, because it will really help us in this fight in particular, for a reason that I'll point out at the end. That almost tempts me to take an upgrade here. Can I survive on 44 HP? I'll just take the rest. So the reason I'm doing that, if it was any other boss, I would probably take the Smith. But here, the mechanic of the boss fight is... Oh, this didn't have its own background before. This looks amazing. I love the attention to detail in this game and how they've really upped their game from the first one, honestly. The devs are really putting out some good work. But before we get lost in the beauty of the game, when you get his HP down to 0, he's going to have been passively gaining a buff every turn, where when he gets to the end, he becomes a bomb, and then he will deal X amount of damage to you at the end. So you want as much HP as possible and as much block as possible at the end of the combat. I think that's the best way I can put that. So we'll just get on with it and show it off. We can actually hologram here to get another finesse, but there's no point. So here we go. He starts off with 15. So at the end of when killed, he will deal 15. I was getting confused because I only read the second half of that. When killed, he will deal 15 to us as it stands. And this empower that he's doing every single turn is going to be adding 3 to this. So the longer this fight goes on, the more dangerous it becomes. I'm going to use one of my dexterity potions just to not take as much damage here. I don't want to use both of them as much as I could have. So now it's up at 18, and we want to be playing these as quickly as possible. Although with the efficiency of subroutine, I could probably wait until I get my subroutine and then play them later on. We'll be fine. So we play our subroutine. He's now going to heal himself. I'll play dual cast. And now, because of subroutine, we can play our powers for free. I'm going to Shadow Shield and get another Dark Orb. And I'm going to block. We want to now consistently be blocking all of his damage to keep this 64 intact if we can. Which unfortunately we don't hear because Glacier doesn't want to respawn again. And then we want to try and kill him as quickly as possible. So I'll play that. We'll dual cast, I'll strike, I'll defend. This battle is simply about balance and trying to get to the end while doing as much damage as possible. So here, because of the Dark Orb, I would have really struggled if I didn't have this, but it's already at 44 with dual cast. It does 88 damage and already takes him down to 32, which is excellent. And as it turns out, I probably could have got through this without having to smith. I just wanted to be on the safe side because this guy has ended my runs a lot of times when I've been unprepared or I've been overconfident walking in here. We'll hotfix. We will kill him off, and now the enemy has infinite HP, so you can't kill him in this state, unless I have seen you can kill him if you do a crazy amount of damage, but it's unlikely. In our situation, we just want to sit, and now that we know that he's only dealing 39 damage, I don't even need the Frost Orbs. I can just sit and let him hit me and take me down. As we know, as long as we survive with 1 HP, we're going to make it through and then we're going to heal in the next act. But a good way to get through this fight if you're struggling is, with this character specifically, is to stack up as many Frost Orbs as you can, so that when you're on that final turn, you get a bunch of free block and then ideally have a Glacier to give yourself some more. That's what I would suggest. Here we've got the instant snap pick, one of the best cards in the entire game for any character, Echo Form, which is ethereal, which removes when you upgrade it, but the first card you play each turn is played an extra time. So this effectively applies replay to all of your future first turn cards, which is insane and is really hard to not pick up. We've got another Voltaic, which is a good option, but we're not going to take it yet. I hope this shows up again later because I do want it, I just don't want it right now. And then another really good card of Shatter, with deals 7 damage to all enemies and evoke all your orbs twice. So this is going to be amazing with our Dark Orb build, and it also helps with enemies that there's about 3 or 4 in the hallway fights. This is really exciting. I'm going to try and pick this. I want all of these cards, but it's hard to not take Echo Form, so I'm going to grab that for us. And here we go into Hive. There is no alternative Act 2 or alternative Act 3 at the moment, so the only one that we'll be seeing flip-flop will be the Overgrowth or the Underdogs. And as we can see, the map's changed because we had the Spoils map in our deck. The event causes the middle point to always be a singular chest, which makes it easier to path to begin with, but for today, we're going to call it there. I hope you've enjoyed this so far. I've really enjoyed making these videos, and I hope it's been informative for people, because that's my hope at the end of the day. I have been Sean Splains. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.